Voice to Freeze the Atlantic. That track was called The Last Great Train Robbery from their self-titled album. We'll be seeing them again at the end of the show when they'll treat us to a song off their new album, The People Are Revolting.
I hope you're ready for your evening injection of art, music and culture.
The cameras have arrived in the flat and the lights are on, which means it's about time we start.
Coming up on tonight's show.
Netflix released a sequel series to the smash hit Stranger Things, and we have Ivan from Vodzilla to tell us if it's worth a subscription.
Have you ever wondered why you just don't get that second date? It's not because your face is like a brick wall. OK, maybe it's just a little bit, but we can suggest some locations to improve your chances.
Now, calligraphy has been around for centuries, but we showed that it's still an art for the modern age. We found out how with Maria Chatelli.
And we have some fun in the closet. No, it's not what you're thinking.
We take a look at the art and culture stories that you need to know.
And our major guest, Oliver Astrologo. He's been working in digital communication for over 15 years and has recently embarked on a new journey, expressing his creativity through travel and fashion-themed videos.
Now, last year, Stranger Things was the breakaway hit on the streaming service Netflix.
Filled with 80s sci-fi and horror, it created a story about young children fighting monsters from the upside down that captivated millions.
The second season was released on the 27th of October exclusively on Netflix.
The first season was hugely popular and created massive hype for Stranger Things 2.
Let's take a look at a clip from Series 1 to remind you what it's all about.
She can't have gone far. What the hell?
You know Will? Do you know where he is? Hiding. From who?
And today we have a reviewer from the on-demand review site Vodzilla.co who has come in to talk to us about Stranger Things 2, Ivan Radford.
Welcome!
Hi, Ivan.
Take a
Sit down. That was a slow reveal, wasn't it? Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
For those of viewers at home that
Yes.
don't know what Stranger Things is, can you give us a little summarise?
Okay, it's a show that's a sci-fi horror, retro sci-fi horror, I should add. The emphasis is very much on the retro. It's set in the 1980s in Hawkins, Indiana, which is a small town, and it follows a group of kids who spend their days going to school, playing Dungeons and Dragons, and also, at the same time, hunting for their friend Will, who goes missing.
Oh, of course.
And they're helped in that hunt by a new friend who appears seemingly out of nowhere.
No spoilers, please.
No spoilers. And she's a young girl called Eleven, or Elle for short, and she has essentially special powers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So, what is it that you think makes these series captivating and interesting to a modern-day audience?
It's partly the cast. The kids are all fantastic.
Yeah.
Millie Bobby Brown is a breakout star. She's sensational as Eleven. And at the same time, there's a really good actor called Gaten Matarazzo who plays a kid called Justin, who's kind of the comic relief in the group. He's the, you know, when you have a friend who always, whenever you go around to place, they always have chocolate pudding.
Yeah.
He's that friend.
I was that friend.
I think I was too. It's why we get on so well.
Do you have any chocolate?
Always.
Yeah, you can have some later.
Awesome. So it's partly the cast. The kids are fantastic.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's very much the 80s references that are peppered throughout the whole thing. So you have lots of nods to kind of sci-fi and horror movies that everyone kind of watched back in the day.
So Stranger Things, the original series, created this hype.
Yes.
It was mental.
Yeah.
Now, this is the big question. Does Stranger Things 2 live up to that hype?
Yes, mostly.
Oh.
It does a
Mostly?
pretty good job. Stranger Things is very good at knowing exactly what its fans want, and it gives it to them, but always with a slight twist. It's a show where you know you're going to get 80s tropes, kind of cliches that you always get from kind of sci-fi horror films from that decade, but it always manages to do it in a way that has a little bit more depth, a little bit more character. So you have the comedy sidekick, you have the kind of rogue, lonely sheriff guy who wears a hat like Indiana, a fantastic hat, like Indiana Jones. You have the boy who goes missing, you have the sinister, shady organisation performing experiments. You have scary monsters that are a bit like Alien.
Yeah.
You have even, you know, scenes on bikes and kids dressing up with sheets over them at Halloween, like
it's all those
E.T.
stereotypical things, I guess.
And it's that, but with a little bit of depth that turn them into something that you can actually relate to and enjoy.
Absolutely. So, for those of you who've watched the first season, what can we expect from season 2? What would you say for people who are thinking, oh, I like the first season, I'm not sure if I'm ready to commit to the second one, will it ruin it? What do you think?
Well, it's interesting. The Duffer Brothers, who created the programme, they don't like to call it season 2. They like to call it Stranger Things 2.
Yeah.
And their theory is it's like a movie sequel. And in classic sequel tradition, what Stranger Things 2 gives you is more. So you have more monsters. There's kind of like almost like a Jurassic Park influence going on. There's a fantastic sequence involving some CCTV cameras that is genuinely terrifying. You get more of the kids. You get, you know, more horror, more sci-fi, more of the upside down that you mentioned earlier on, which is this kind of strange paranormal world. More of the sheriff with his hat, who's played by David Harbour. He's...
well, I think actually we have a clip of Stranger Things 2.
Excellent.
Which we can take a little peek at.
Yeah, let's have a look.
She wouldn't want to go on a date with you because you make like what, like $2.50 an hour? Surprisingly angry at that. You're gonna make fun of my hair.
Hey guys, do you see the...
Are you okay?
Oh,
wow.
That was quite
Chills.
exciting.
Dramatic. So, obviously, it's a very, as we can see, dramatic programme. Lots of people very excited. Any news on season 3?
Season 3 is happening.
It
definitely
is?
happening.
Okay.
So that's great news,
Great
definitely.
news.
And the Duffer Brothers are hoping to do a 4th season and then kind of wrap it up probably around there. So you've got at least another 2 seasons to go.
Brilliant.
Good news.
Thank you for coming in and chatting
Thank
to
you.
us. Where can we find you online and any of your other
If you head to vodzilla.co,
Yes.
that's our website there,
Okay.
and that's got, you know, Netflix, Amazon, iTunes, iPlayer, all the catch-up video-on-demand things that you currently do with your life in the evening. That in one website.
Is all on there. I think that sounds pretty great.
Ideal. We'll be on there together.
Yeah, we definitely
Thank
will.
you very much for joining us.
Thank
It's been
you.
a pleasure.
Thank
Awesome
you.
fun.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Now, make sure you hang around because after the break, we have a secret tip to always getting the second date. And it might have something to do with getting in a hot tub and floating in the canal.
I like it. I think it's our treat.
Can you get that around the other side?
Young people are going to desperate lengths to find a warm place to stay this Christmas. Don't ignore them. Give them another choice.
Did you know? The optimum temperature of the human body is 37 degrees Celsius. Below this, human flesh begins to freeze. The cold penetrates so deep it settles into muscles, tendons, and even bone marrow. At this stage, the human body will do anything to get out of the cold. Anything. Please, give them another choice. Donate.
He's here! He's here! It's fine. Please. Jack! Jack, please!
Hello.
Happy Valentine's Day! Lucy?
first date of a new relationship is always daunting, and it's important to make a good impression.
Most people go to the pub or to the cinema, but we think that's just boring.
It won't make you stand out from the crowd. Let's be real, small talk will only get you so far.
So, we've come up with some great ideas that you can pass off as your own ingenious and romantic plans.
Started with an idea of an escape room, actually. So both, like all three of us, we wanted to do an escape room, but like a more immersive one. We thought, well, there are not too many like pure VR places in London anyway, so why don't we combine those two ideas and have a VR escape room in here and then a collection of different VR games as well. We actually had people coming on their first date here quite often. It's not even, like, the joy is not about the gaming, it's just about like being somewhere else and totally realizing that you are in a different world. I think that's a good idea for a first date, and not for pure gamers, but just like for someone who's really tired of doing the same thing over and over again.
Usually the cinema or to a restaurant or something like that.
We were 14 years old and it was the cinema at Warrington to go and see the first great train robbery.
I didn't walk her home, I just got a lift from someone who gave me a lift home, so I kind of left her at the event. So it didn't end too well, but
I like the idea of doing something crazy and different. Whether I could come up with anything that was, you know, that worked, I don't know.
It's a fun thing to do, and it brings us a big joy to bring a big smile and something to everybody in their lives. Because this hour, when you're in these rooms, live escape room games, you just forget about everything else. You get yourself immersed. Of course, if it's a good game, and you just forget about all the problems, all the mistakes, everything what happened in the past and what's going to happen in the future, and you just enjoy yourself really much.
So yeah, I met the man that invented this product, Frank de Boer, in Rotterdam quite a few years ago, and I just thought it was an incredible thing to have invented. So I thought people in London would absolutely love the hot tub, the world's first floating hot tub, and so I wanted to bring this incredible experience to people over here. I mean, I don't think there's a more romantic spot in London than taking a first date for a date on the world's first floating hot tub with water heated to 38 degrees, cruising down the canal with a bottle of champagne. It really is something special for a first date. Well, I think it's just a fantastic experience, and it makes an incredible date, probably the most unusual date you could have in the great city that we live in.
Really nice, yeah. Like to float down the canal in like a nice hot tub, looking at the scenery. It's really nice. Yeah, it's really nice. Yeah, nice little romantic like trip down the canal. It's good.
Yeah, it's something different. Like you're thinking outside the box, aren't you? Everyone goes to the cinema or to the pub, so to do something like this is really good.
So how do I organise this hot tub experience for my next day? Oh, can I actually add champagne? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'll get back to that later. Now, we have something else that can impress everyone around you. Calligraphy dates back thousands of years, but it doesn't stop it getting millions of likes on Instagram and other social media. We have Maria Chatelli in the studio to show Catherine some tricks of the quill to get Insta famous.
And Maria joins me here on the terrace. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good. It's lovely to have you here with us.
I'm happy to be here.
So, tell us a bit about calligraphy and how you use it.
So, actually, there are many ways that you can use it, and calligraphy had a big boom like 3-5 years ago, and right now it's growing a lot. And I'm using calligraphy for absolutely different things. I use calligraphy to design wedding invitations, for wedding mirrors. I use it in design to design logos, brand identity, on the websites. So I can use it anywhere. You can use it in advertisements for TV shows. And yeah.
Wow, so you do a big variation of projects.
Exactly.
And you're online quite a lot, aren't you? Do you get a lot of attraction through your Instagram page, for example?
So yes, I have my Instagram, and that's my biggest presence. I also have my Facebook page and my website, but that's mostly for credibility because people trust that more. But yes, most of my content I post on Instagram, and that's where my sales came through.
Right, now I think it's time you showed us some of your skills. Let's have a look.
So, should we write the name of your show?
I think. Here we go. Two girls, one flat. So what's the pen you're using now? Is this a traditional?
So this is a specific pen for calligraphy. This is a pen holder that's called oblique pen holder. And I'm using different nibs for it.
Yeah.
So I'm taking ink. And you can see that I'm holding it
so it's on the underside of the nib.
Exactly. And when I will be writing, I will be applying pressure, and that's how the ink flows. And you need to apply pressure in the right time. When you're going up, you release it a little bit.
So less pressure when you want to make a thinner line.
Exactly.
It's quite clever how you do it, because when you initially start writing, it doesn't necessarily look like the letter that's going to come up. So is it quite difficult to start with to sort of deconstruct what you're doing?
So calligraphy is usually 80% thinking and 20% writing.
Oh, okay.
So before I write everything, I first think how I'm gonna structure my letters and letter forms, and only after that I start writing.
So you have to do a bit of a plan first.
Yes, because there is a lot of different styles, and
and what would you say is your style?
So right now I'm using mostly modern calligraphy style, and there is a lot of variations in that. So basically you take the basics and create your letters inside of that. So you can play around with that and do whatever you want, how you want.
So it's sort of, because calligraphy, we all think of it as being, well, very classic, sort of rooted in history. So you're sort of taking that history and then updating it a bit.
Well, at the moment, but I also started with the basics, and that is actually much more harder than modern calligraphy.
Oh, is it?
Because there is a lot of rules that you need to follow, and to the most basic scripts, it's Penserian and copperplate, and it's much more difficult actually to write in those, where in modern calligraphy you have a little bit more freedom to create something new.
So, obviously there are different styles. You use different pens as well, don't you? So you don't, not just using this nib sort of classic pen that you use here.
So yes, this is the most interesting one, but basically there are different types of calligraphy. So it can be brush calligraphy with watercolors and brushes. There can be brush pen calligraphy, and that one I will recommend for beginners who just starting.
I'll do that
because because it's much easier to control your pressure with the pens because they're not so flexible. Yes.
So this is sort of, when you're really getting advanced, this is the stage that you move on to.
Yes, exactly.
And this started as a hobby for you, didn't it?
Yes, so actually it started for me, I was drawing portraits, and at some point people started asking me, hey, can you add my name nicely written at the bottom and stuff like that? And I thought, why not? I started discovering, and it's been such a mess because I didn't know where to start. I saw that there is so many types of calligraphy, and I just had to pick one where I'm gonna start with. So yeah, and with time I came to this one.
Yeah, now you're doing it full time and doing it really well. Look at that, we have our new show poster here. Thank you. And tell us where to find you online. If our viewers want to find you and look at your work, where should they go?
So you should go mostly on the Instagram, and Instagram will take you everywhere else to Facebook
what's
and my
your
website.
name on Instagram?
It's calligraphy Maria Stelle, so quite simple.
Easy to remember.
Yes.
And you've bought something a little bit more fancy over here. Are you going to show us how this
actually,
works?
it is less fancier. It's just to
less
show
fancy.
the variety.
Okay. So you've made this yourself, haven't you?
Exactly. So it is made out of the Coca-Cola can.
Of course it is.
Yes. So that just to show how creative you can get with calligraphy. It just, you don't need to buy exactly those pens and write that. You can be as creative as you want.
Okay. And what would you use this for?
If I need to make something more interesting and, well, let me show you first. And
Okay,
you will
you
see.
show me. Right, so this is Maria's own pen. Ooh.
So it gives really nice lines.
Yeah.
They're not normal. They're more interesting. So if somebody asking me, for example, for logos, use something a little bit more.
I can see the Instagram feel coming along here.
Exactly.
Well, it's amazing to see all your talent and the variety that you can bring us. So thank you very much for joining us, Maria. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to meet you.
And I'm sure we'll all be following you on Instagram.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Now, I've been to the Tate Modern, and I often think all that painting looks pretty easy and that, yeah, I could probably do it. So we challenged you to try your hand at recreating a classic work of art using a computer. I can't wait to see the results.
I got a hangover, been trapped in the closet.
Okay, right, can you draw? Because apparently I need to instruct you to how to draw a painting on paint.
An old dude, very kind of Gandalf-esque, regurgitating a steak with massive testicles.
There are two people. So one is crouched down, one is like on all fours.
Golden dress with flowers all over it.
There's a man with an apple.
Yeah.
In the middle of his face.
Why are you doing it red?
Oh no, bigger balls than that, mate.
The arms are coming down, like...
Okay, you need more black rectangles at the bottom. So there's one big black rectangle.
What's a rectangle?
What do you mean, what's a rectangle?
Apples over
The apple is not as big as his head, by the way.
I think you're doing an amazing job. That actually looks really, 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 really close.
I got a hangover, been trapped in the closet.
OK, so I'll admit it, painting is much more difficult than I thought.
Do you ever feel like trawling through social media to find out what's new in the art and culture world just takes up a bit too much time?
Well, we've done all the hard work to bring you everything you need to know.
First up, there's huge news for all the Tolkien lovers out there. We'll be journeying back to Middle-earth as Amazon announced it has committed to a multi-season adaptation inspired by J.R.R. Tolkien's classic fantasy novels, Lord of the Rings. The series will tell new stories based in the period preceding the Fellowship of the Ring, and the move comes as Amazon seeks a big-name franchise to challenge HBO's Game of Thrones.
Bill Gates has invested $80 million into nearly 25,000 acres of land near Phoenix, Arizona, to build a smart city of the future. The proposed Bill Gates city, called Belmont, will have a high-speed communications infrastructure, data centers, driverless cars, and housing for 80,000 people, and is designed to be a hyper-connected place for new tech companies to set up in.
The new Star Wars game has come under fire after a huge online backlash. In Battlefront 2, players have to obtain credits, either by buying them or through long hours of gameplay, to unlock popular characters including Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader. Despite a huge number of complaints, game manufacturers EA are continuing with this rule.
And finally, Breaking Bad star Bryan Cranston has received rave reviews for his latest role in the theatrical version of the 1976 Oscar-winning film Network, which began yesterday at the National Theatre. Cranston has been described as bringing a wiry magnetism to the role of a TV news anchor experiencing a nervous breakdown. Network, which will be at the National Theatre in London until the 24th of March.
Don't log off quite yet. We have Oliver Astrologo coming up after the break.
Happy Valentine's Day! Lucy?
That wasn't the card you meant to read.
What was the card I was meant to read?
I don't know. It was more formal. It was less...
Anatomical? I made it with my bum.
My mummy died to the zoo one time. There was a caterpillar and played with my sister toys. We turned round and round and round and then we get off. That'll be my birthday.
My father's first car.
The public library.
In my grandmother's bathroom.
That's it, that's it. Almost!
Pearson Education. We all start somewhere.
Welcome back. Tonight, we're lucky enough to have a chat with someone who travels all over the world to film beautiful cinematic pieces for brands like Bulgari, Fendi, National Geographic, and also documentaries. He just got back from Catalonia shooting for the Tourist Board, and now he's here in our flat. Welcome, Oliver Astrologo. Hi, Oliver. Come and take a seat on the couch.
Hi.
Thank you for joining us. It's lovely to meet you. Have you had a safe trip?
Yes.
Good.
I'm a bit tired, but everything was good.
Oh, good. And where have you just come from?
I am come from, I've been in Greece. I did another project for a big company hotel.
Oh, wow.
We did several videos all across Greece. It was an amazing experience.
Oh, wow, I bet it was. So when did you decide, well, how did you get into filmmaking?
It's a long time project. In the beginning, it started it was just a personal project. I used to work in advertising field for over 10 years. During the free time, I started to make these travel videos. The first videos that I did, for example, the Vietnam one, were just for showcasing my skills to show how I'm able. But the nice thing is that I use the same approach, the same techniques that I use for my promotional video, the videos that I usually do in my marketing agency. This was very good. The video of Rome, for example, is a project that I did in about 6 months during my free time. I spent every day before going to the office, I get up very early in the morning and rediscover the entire city.
Wow.
It was amazing for me. I'm from Rome, born and bred in Rome, but looking at Rome with a different eyes made me to rediscover the city. It was amazing.
And is that what we've got a short clip of today to take a look at?
Yes.
Can we take a look at that now, please? So your editing and shooting style is really quite unique. It's amazing to watch. It's so colourful, it's so vibrant. How did you develop that? What was your inspiration to shoot like that?
But actually, the thing is, on the social media, people get bored very quickly. So that's the reason, because I try to pack everything in just 3 minutes. Because in 3 minutes, you need to capture the attention of the viewer.
Yeah.
So basically, that's probably the reason being Rome. Another aspect, especially in the video of Rome that you already seen, is the fact that the Rome is a very, very quick city, a very chaotic city.
It is, and you capture that in your video.
Yes, I wanted to give that feeling in the video. Exactly, if you see the video, sometimes you don't know, you cannot get an idea where to look.
Yeah.
That's the same thing that you have. Have you never been to Rome?
Yes, I have. I have been to Rome,
yes.
and I absolutely loved it, and the busyness and the craziness. I think it's what makes it, to be honest. But we often see hands and other people in your films. Who are they? Are they you, or how do you get these people?
Sometimes it depends. It depends. Sometimes, for example, you need to get very discreet with the people, or avoid to get in front of them. Sometimes, for example, I use some actors, for example.
Okay.
The two guys that you saw in Vespa, for example, they were the two friends of mine. And they asked, okay, I'm going to make a video about Rome. What do you think to be my main actor and to be the protagonist on the video? And I used the two guys to be a kind of story, for creating a story. The important thing in this kind of video is not only to showing a lot of things, but also to create a story and to make a kind of something that keep the attention of the viewer for the whole video.
The way I feel that you shoot it as well, we really connect with the people in your videos.
Yes.
We want to know their story as well, which I think is really important.
For me, is one of the most important things. I'm going to make some other projects. For example, the project that you said before is about Catalonia. We specifically requested to the tourist board to make some people, some artisans available for this. Because I don't want to show only the location. I want also to describe how the people live that destination.
Yeah, and you've travelled all over the world, and I imagine you've seen some amazing places and experienced some amazing things. What's the funniest thing that's ever happened to you while you've been on location?
Well, when I've been in Vietnam,
yeah.
Maybe if you check on my YouTube channel or my Vimeo channel, you can find it. But in Vietnam, I had this very nice experience because I got this banknote. It's a gift that I received from a monk.
Wow.
We were around inside this temple filming, just shooting. And one time we saw those people praying, and we get very close to them with the camera.
Yeah.
Usually it's not easy to get very close with the people because you need to be very discreet. Not everybody are keen and available to get filmed. But when they saw us, hey, come to join us. Let's pray together. We started praying together. After this, she gave me this banknote with this special sign. I don't know the meaning. Probably if someone speaking is Chinese, I think it's Chinese. I don't know. But I really take care about this banknote because when she gave me this banknote, I always keep it with me because I think that it brings me very lucky.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's very.
Do you collect sort of souvenirs from wherever you go? What else have we got on the table?
For every destination, usually I collect a gift or souvenir, something that I keep with me during my travel. This little skull, for example, was collected in Mexico when I did my latest project in Mexico.
Oh, wow.
It's something where the Mexican people really take care about. Is always every morning in my sofa in front of me.
And was the note from the wallet, is that what that is in there?
Yeah,
okay.
This is always inside my wallet.
So what are your plans going forward now? What's next for you? Whereabouts in the world are you going to go now?
I'm leaving for Japan.
When?
This weekend.
Oh, just this
next
weekend.
Week.
Can I come?
Yes, of course.
I'd love
if you want
to
to join us, no problem. I'm going to Tokyo. I'm going to make some short videos for very important fashion brands.
Yeah.
Where I used to work before.
Can you tell us what fashion brands they are, or is that on the
Yes,
the
of course.
there?
It's Bulgari.
Oh, very exciting.
And I'm really excited for that. Because,
yeah.
I already been in Tokyo, but I spent there only a few days. So this time I will spend an entire week. So I will have more time to get confident with the local people and discover something about the city. It's not always nice to travel around the world.
No,
because
but I bet it's
especially when you're
interesting.
working. The main issue is the fact that you are just making a touch and go to every destination. So if you want to enjoy or understand the location, you need to spend more time. So my big issue actually is the time, to find the time to stay and spend more time enjoying a location.
Brilliant. So, where can we find you online and watch all of these incredible videos?
Of course, on my website. I have a website where I collect the most important awards, and I'm showcasing also some commercial awards. And also I have an Instagram account where it's a kind of diary where I publish a photo every day of what I'm doing.
And what's the name of that account?
It's Oliver HL.
Okay.
You can find it by looking for Oliver Astrologo. Also, I recently opened a YouTube account. It's more focused on tutorials.
Okay.
So I'm giving some tips, advices, how to approach my work. So I explain some behind the scenes, some projects,
amazing.
and also explain some techniques that you see in my video, for example, the Roma one. I'm going to publish more tutorials.
Great. Well, thank you so much for coming into the flat and taking time out of your jet-setting schedule. It's been really interesting to meet you and get to talk to you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you all for watching the show. Follow us on Twitter and make sure to tune in tomorrow. All the way from LA, we have the brilliant music video director Malia James and celebrity choreographer Mark Battershall, who will indulge you in a moving choreography inspired by the Me Too movement.
Now we have to leave you, but with the fantastic Freeze the Atlantic, playing a song from their new album, The People Are Revolting. Good night.